One of the most persistent and frankly annoying myths of the modern age is that faith and science are enemies. But if we take a look at this through the lens of St. Thomas Aquinas, then we'll see that this conflict is really just a bunch of bunk. First, Aquinas' position starts from a very simple principle, that truth is one and thus cannot be contradictory. The basis of this is that God is both the creator of the world that science studies and the revealer of the mysteries that faith believes. In other words, if biology or physics reveals a fact about the natural world, it cannot contradict the theological truths of the faith. Why? Because both spring from the same divine source. And if they appear to be in conflict, then Aquinas would say that the problem is within us, meaning that we have either misunderstood something about faith, or we have misinterpreted or are being given faulty data from the science. Genuine scientific discovery and genuine Catholic doctrine are meant to behave more like duet partners, dancing in harmony, than intellectual rivals butting heads. Second, Aquinas argues that science is only possible because the universe is intelligible. You see, for science to carry out its work of discovery, it relies on the assumption that the world follows order, logic, and laws. For you cannot do physics in a universe of pure chaos. Aquinas holds that the universe is not a random accident, but a reflection of God's intelligence. So when a scientist formulates an equation, they are actually discovering the order that God built into the fabric of creation. And it is this conviction that serves as one of the deep roots for why systematic scientific investigation could flourish in a Christian culture in the first place. For if you think the universe is just chaos, you don't build laboratories, you build bunker shelters. And lastly, Aquinas' most compelling argument comes from his teaching on primary and secondary causality. He suggests that God is the main cause of everything. But since he is the primary cause, he decides to work through creatures, giving them the power to be secondary causes. This way, they can create real effects in the world. It is these effects from the secondary causes that actually serve as the basis of scientific inquiry. Now, this is important to see because there can be a tendency for people to think that in explaining how the universe works, they can render a creator unnecessary, or even for people to think that faith must always bypass a natural explanation. On the contrary, seeing things through Aquinas' lens of primary and secondary causality helps us to see that science can be understood not as the study of the world without God, but the study of the world through which God acts, especially through secondary causes. And that when we view science through the lens of faith, we are not diminishing creation, but seeing how God, as the first cause, has allowed his creature to participate in his creative power. Faith does not fear reason because the light of the world is the source of both. And that, my friends, is no bunk. God bless you.